All right, this probably isn't going to take very long. There's just a couple things I wanted to mention to you. These are my courses for the spring semester, and just so you see it already, for the 167 class, you should all, if you've registered for the class, you should be able to go out there and find that. The syllabi is in there, the course evaluation. There aren't any videos yet, of course. The source code for the book is out there. There were no PowerPoints that came with the book, so and there's no in-class or homework stuff yet, but the announcement is out there, all right, for the class. So all that stuff is out there. And also, and the reason I'm showing you this is for the Intro to Java class, same stuff is out there. So the syllabus, there are not any videos yet. The source for the entire book is in there. The PowerPoints, because that book comes with PowerPoints, those are in there. And if you are interested in looking at this during the break, there's a good chance that by the end of next week, there'll probably be about 18 videos in there. All right, I'm going to have all the videos. My hope is by the end of next week to have, I'm going to do one lecture for the PowerPoints and one just going over the stuff in the chapter. All right, and I want to do that, and I'd like to get that done by next week. So that stuff will be out there. If you don't want to look at it until you come back, it doesn't really matter. But just so you know, that stuff will be out there. All right. Yeah, it gives me something to do because I don't have anything to do. All right. Oh, okay. Well, and I wanted to show you this. So this is the source code that was in chapter 1 of the book. But you'll notice with some of it, for instance, if I bring that up, okay, that's that click me game that they have in there. See that? All right. But with some of it, I can bring it up and it'll look just fine. Some of the rest of it, notice when I do this, nothing happens. And the reason that nothing's happening right there is it needs a server. When you bring up an HTML file and you just double click on it, you're running it solely through the browser. But this one needs it. So notice if I come back and grab that same folder that's called Lesson 1, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to jump over into the virtual desktop and grab the same folder and paste it out there. All right, so there it's in here someplace, but it was called Lesson 01, but it's in there. There it is. There it is, Lesson 01. So notice now, with this started, there's a big difference. Now I can say http://localhost/lesson01. I'd rather run things like this than I would from a command line. But notice now if I run the Ajax one, all right, and it didn't look like much, but you got output. All right, because it needed a server in order to be able to do what it wanted to do. And notice if I go back and grab that, I don't remember what that one we just tried before was, but I should be able to run any of these. Because all I'm doing right now is, oh, that's the one. So I can run this one, I can run that HTML file either under the browser or I can run it under my XAMPP server. And the only reason I'm telling you that is one of the first things you'll hear come fall is you can take any file that you have ever created for the 157 class or this class or any other class that ends with .html. You can save the file with the same name but with .php, and it'll run in here and it'll look exactly the same. So you say, well, why would you want to do that then? Because when you create a file and you save it with a .php extension, then what you are able to do is put PHP code in it. So you actually are going to run stuff from the server side. That's what you'll learn about next fall. All right? All right, so for the rest of this, this walked you through how to create the dynamic web page in here. All right, so as it says, the idea behind this particular thing is it took a fairly basic page, it created it with HTML, it added some styling with CSS, and it added some interaction with jQuery and JavaScript. What I liked about this to end the first chapter is it brought together pretty much everything that the book is about. All right, and you probably already know this, but after we get done with these first 5 chapters, I'll probably never say another word about HTML5 or CSS3. There's no need to do so because this book, all right, is on client-side scripting. It's all on JavaScript, jQuery, and AngularJS. All right. So the author, I think at least, does it the right way. In other words, he first comes in and he just creates an HTML file. And you'll notice there's not a whole boatload of stuff in it. All right, there's a span in there that says click me, which is eventually going to become that button. That's what the button is, the thing that says click me. And really, it's not even that. It's just text that was designed to look like a button using CSS. All right, so he does that. And he says if you grab that one and you bring it up, so I should be able to because it's called first, and I guess that's the one. All right, that's when he's got everything in there. But if you look at this, if you go back and you view the page source, the thing I don't like about what he did was he puts the JavaScript right in here and he puts the CSS right in here. All right. What I'm planning on doing the first day of class, and I've got to write it up yet, but I'm going to have do's and don'ts, for lack of better words. One thing we'll say, don't put your CSS in line, and we'll go over it the first day, and then I'll never go over it again. But then if you do your homework and you do a don't, and you wonder, why did you take off for this? That will be why. All right? You'll notice that this span, on the click me, it says when you mouse over it, it calls move it. And what is that? That's this script right here. For lack of better words, it says that you're supposed to come out over here, and when it first starts, that's supposed to be its coordinates. So that is where it exists on the page. Then it immediately says, change the coordinates to random values. All right, and it's mouse over, so when you try to put your mouse on it, it's going to move someplace. All right, this used to be a real popular game until, and I don't know if this one does it or not, but with one of them, people figured out that you could win on this if you held down on the control key, and it looks like that's not the case anymore. All right. So then he came in and he added the CSS. Again, he did it inline, which I wish he wouldn't have, but he did anyway. All right, so he gave it a color, he gave it a font weight, etc. Again, I'm assuming that you all learn how to do this either through a class for me or one with Jim Schmidt or on your own or whatever, but you know how to write CSS. Because for next semester, it will be expected that you know how to write CSS. Just like it'll be expected you know how to write HTML. And again, if you have any questions or still have problems with it, I'd go out to the W3 School site and look at the CSS tutorial, and I look at the HTML5 tutorial, and if you got time, even look at the JavaScript tutorial. So that's what it creates, is this thing that looks like a click me right there. It's meant to look like a button. All right. Then they add the dynamicity to it. Okay. And again, you already saw this, but this says when you mouse over that text that says click me, all right, when you mouse over it, you should call the function move it, which is right here. All right. So they've got the whole shebang, the whole shooting match, everything is in here. Unfortunately, when I saved all this stuff, it didn't save into one file. It saved into two files. So here's the rest of it. Okay. Every one of these chapters has got Q&A things at the end, and they've got quizzes, and they've got quiz answers, and they've got exercises. And I could be wrong, but I thought at least the answers to the exercises were shown at the end of the book. They may or may not be. All right, with some of these books in here, they show the exercise answers. With some, they don't. And it looks like this one, they don't. But I'm not going to ever assign anything like that. People always say, well, can I start on the homework? You can't because it's still in my head. All right, I haven't written it yet, so I don't know exactly what it will be. I will tell you that if you do go out and you look at the JavaScript or the Java stuff that I mentioned to you, after I get those lectures done, I will go over for every chapter in the Java class, starting in day one. We will be writing a program as a class, then I'll be assigning one, writing one, assigning one, writing one.